Hi there, it's Memory from Friends Abroad Relationship School, and I am on episode 14 of Trauma on the Screen, and today featuring the film Endings, Beginnings. So this is a film starring Shailene Woodley, Jamie Dornan, and Sebastian Stan. And this film is about endings and beginnings, as it says on the packaging. So this film has got themes that I grouped together. The first theme we find in there is self-abandonment or lack of self-love. And the next theme that I picked up is related to abandonment again, and it's looking for love in the wrong places. And then we have dishonesty. We also have addiction in there, as well as new beginnings, people learning lessons from their behaviors, or the main actor. So we have Daphne, the main actress or actor, and she has broken up with her boyfriend, Adrian. And after the breakup, she sort of gives up on life, really. She stops going to work, and she is now living at her sister's, Billy, in the pool house. And that is a good and helpful factor, because we can also notice there that family is important, or an inner circle. And throughout this film, we have the benefit of this inner circle, which Daphne maintained in and out of relationships. Even as she was in a relationship, she had friends who she hung out with, and they spent quality time together. So her friends suggested that she takes a break from dating, but Daphne is terrified of being alone. The one good thing, though, from all this is she proceeds to try a sabbatical and to, in the process, stop drinking. So this is a good sign that she wanted to try. And we know the importance of taking the time to heal following a breakup, rather than just rushing back to date and then ending up in patterns. And of course, this is what ended up happening, because at a pool party arranged by a sister, she meets Jack and his friend Frank. So on separate occasions during the party, and she tells Frank that she is taking a break, she wasn't drinking and all that. And then she meets Jack and she texts to Jack, and throughout the night she's confused between the two of them. And then we also have a situation where she went to see her mother, and they were not very close. You could see the body language between them, that they were not that close. And her mother had moved on to another man. She also had gone through many relationships, a few relationships. And the mother said that she was going to marry the man that she was with. So she gave Daphne her dad's ring, which was very interesting, that she felt that because she was marrying another man, she had to give up the ring from a previous relationship. And then we notice, or we find that Daphne meets with Frank, one of the guys she wanted to push away during the party, and she starts drinking and she sleeps with Frank. But Jack is already interested in her. So she's texting both guys, which is not a problem. as long as you are not sleeping with them most of the time. Because you can wait until you find the right one, but she already started sleeping with the guys, both of them. So she's already broken a promise to herself, acts of self-betrayal. She's drinking again, and she's broken the sabbatical. And she tries to reason with herself because she recognized her self-betrayal. So what did she do? She tries to break it off with both guys. But, of course, Jack insists that she felt that there was something magical between the two of them. And he convinces her to come back. So she starts dating Jack. And they sleep together. So she has already slept with two friends who have known each other for 17 years. When she met both guys at the party, she didn't recognize that they actually had invited each other to this party. So one of the days she goes to her sister's Billy and she finds Billy fighting with her man. And of course she had Billy's little girl, and she noticed that it was important that she doesn't take this girl inside the house where two adults were fighting. And that is important because we know very well if children notice parents fighting, they are bound to be traumatized by that. So that was a good thing on her part, to recognize that she needed to take the child away from this situation. And she ended up moving out of that place, of Billy's place. So she then started reading Adrian's letter. And this is a normal sign of someone who misses their ex. You start sort of looking into the past and reading letters from the past and all that. And then she also recalled that the reason why she had left her job was because she had spent a night. She almost slept with her boss. He tried to call her to discuss that. That he was, he was regretting that night that they spent together. His name was Jed. So again, we are noticing a girl who was affected by alcohol, because it was actually after a night of drinking when she went back to Jed's house. And we are noticing a girl who is looking for love in the wrong places. So she now starts to spend time with Jack. And Jack said something very interesting in there. He said, there is an openness in relationships Americans don't have. We know that's a generalization and it was just a movie, but I felt that I wanted to say something about this. It's not an openness that Americans lack. It's many people who lack that openness because they are dissociated and they've got so many secrets within from being traumatized. And that is very important. And this is the thing with Daphne, our main actor. She was not very open, and she was not very honest. Because what then happened next was this. She was in bed with Jack. All was well because there was no tension, no excitement with Jack. Things were flowing really well. But she didn't feel it because this is a girl who was used to chaos, who was addicted to excitement. And this excitement was provided by Frank. So she is in bed with Jack and she starts texting Frank, telling him that she was missing him and she had been thinking about him a lot. She goes back to bed to Jack, and Jack mentioned that he was going to leave his dog with Frank, his friend of 17 years. And Daphne wanted to stay with the dog, but Jack insisted because he felt that he had a good friendship with Frank, and also Frank used the dog to pick up girls in the park, which was a good friendship. So the next thing was, Jack also told Daphne about Frank's behavior, how he was erratic, unreliable, and a lot of things about him. And it just depicted that Frank was a playboy. And that drew Daphne to this man because she was addicted to chaos. There was chaos about Frank. There was excitement. So she felt drawn to him. So the next thing is, Jack detected something in the conversation with Daphne. And you tried to find out if anything had happened between her and Frank, and she was dishonest. Another element that was a red flag in their relationship. She was not open, she was not honest, she was not giving herself to either of these men. Although she was gravitating towards Jack, she was not all in, and that doesn't help in any situation, in any relationship. And she was open to her sister to say that she was actually caught, in other words, between these two men, because both of them gave her something to make the thing that they gave her the whole of what she needed. So Frank gave her this, and Jack gave her that, and together it made the whole of what she was looking for, which was really difficult because she didn't know herself. She didn't know what she wanted. So she was just looking for love in the wrong places. She was trying here, she was trying there, and she didn't know what exactly she wanted. There was something that Jack said in there about distraction being the prerequisite for creativity. So before you can create, you have to go through distraction or suffering. So something must break down in order for things to come together again, in other words. So that was quite fascinating. And this was what Daphne was going through. So Jack goes away, and Frank, who has been left with the dog, comes to dump the dog at Daphne's. And of course, Daphne could not look after the dog where she lived because it was not allowed in the property, because she had moved out of her sister's. And Frank was really agitated, and then he had forgotten to leave her the leash, and when he comes back with the leash, they sleep together again. And this is a challenge because she is sort of committed in some way to Jack, and these are two friends, and she has started again to sleep with Frank, although she had dismissed him. And then Frank asks her to come with him up north where he was going, and they go together. On the way, you start picking up the abandonment issues in Frank himself, because he knew that this was not going to go anywhere, and he said to her that he knew she would leave him when she sees stuff she didn't want to see, or stuff she does not want to see, because he knew his behavior and he knew that it wouldn't help or work in a relationship. Frank was an addict. These two were also smokers, and we know that smoking is an addiction. It is a coping strategy, that people have picked up along the trail of life. And on this journey again, they are drawn to each other. There's a lot of, physical activity, sex between these two, and which is what I felt drew them together that much. And he is starting to drink from a bottle, and she's starting to see the red flags. Up north, reality kicks in. They go to a party and meet up with Sydney, Frank's friend, where they were going. She starts to sing, Daphne. She's left behind. And he leaves the room, Frank, with Sydney. She wanders around the house, and she finds him doing drugs with Sydney. And her world fell apart. She knew what she had gotten herself into. She knew what Jack had said. And this is the thing. She had gravitated towards this chaos unknowingly because that's what she knew. She was looking for a trauma mate, and here she was with one, and leaving this man who could offer her stability, because it's not something that she was used to. So she then went back with Frank. They drove back, and by that time she was over Frank. She didn't want him to touch her because she had seen what she didn't like to see. And she had forgotten that her sister had a baby shower. She arrived. She hears people talking about her while she was in the toilet, and she doesn't like it. And this is something that we do again, especially us women, but then men do that also. Talk about each other behind our backs, discussing each other, rather than focus on ourselves. We focus on other people's business. Rather than fix our lives, we try to fix other people's problems because we are trying to distract from ourselves. Same thing Daphne was doing, struggling to focus on herself and to sit with the discomfort of her breakup, to deal with her breakup. She is focusing on running after relationship in order to distract herself. And this is also what these women were doing, because they didn't like the fact that she was late for her sister's shower, and they didn't like her behavior in general, which was, of course, none of their business. So she then went back to Jack, because Jack had been away, and she told him that she missed him. Again, she wasn't honest with Jack to tell him that she had been with Frank. Again, this is self-sabotaging behavior. Keep behaving as if nothing is wrong, as if all is well, because she was not all in. She was betraying herself, and in the process, betraying other people. Jack himself seems to also have issues, because you can't miss those red flags that there's something wrong with the person that you are dating. You've got to know. But hey ho, people are different. Some people are tuned out. So Jack wants to progress the relationship, and she actually agrees, sort of. And then she's talking to a friend about a dilemma. And a friend told her to reconsider the sabbatical, because she didn't want to be on her own, this lady. She thought that she could be okay only if she was in a relationship. She thought that she could only feel loved and safe and like a human being only when she was in a relationship. And that was not working very well for her. So her friend said something to her when she said that she has a panic attack and then she's back to her chaos. And her friend asked her to reconsider the sabbatical, and then she said that that didn't make her feel good. And her friend told her something that I really liked. She said, I'm not trying to make you feel good. Because the thing is, in our immediate circle, sometimes we need to avoid enabling. People have got this tendency of enabling bad behavior. Because you are my friend, I can just support you. Oh, he's a bad person, or they are doing this, but their friend was really open with her, not in a nasty way, no, or in a competitive way, or in a way to try to outdo her. No, she was just straightforward with her. That would help her. That was the only solution she needed to get over her troubles, because she was getting into the wrong spots for the wrong reasons. So her lack of honesty, Daphne, also was shown another time when she said to Jack she wanted to go out dancing. So they go out dancing, and she meets Jed, her former boss, who had taken her home. And she was really agitated when she saw this guy. Something was not very clear about what happened that night. And she also had been drinking, as I said. So she asked Jack if they could leave. And again, Jack asked her why they had to leave so early. And she said she was hungry. Another red flag to indicate that this relationship was not good for her and not good for him. Because if it was somebody that she was really into, she would have been open and honest and told him the truth. So that is very important to identify in relationships. Then she finds out she's pregnant. And of course, we know that she slept with both guys and she doesn't know whose it is. Jack is planning to go to Italy. He's doing very well in his career. And he actually was talking about them, both something that they would do in Italy. And then she had to tell him about a situation, the fact that she was pregnant and she didn't know whose it was between the two of them. And that is the only time he found out that actually she had been sleeping with his friend on and off. And that's devastating. It's not something that you do to someone you love. It's something that you only do if you don't really care about someone and you are not into them. It was not intentional that she wanted to hurt this man, but she was a confused woman because she needed a break. She needed time to work on herself before she could get into a relationship with anyone. That was the important thing. So she then met Jack once again, and she actually professed that the pregnancy made her look at things differently. She didn't want anything from him. She didn't expect anything from him. So she was told something, a reality line by her friend. Her friend said to her, I don't think you know or understand who is next in line to be loved by you. And she thought it was the baby. But no, the friend meant that the next person that needed to be loved by her, the next person in line to be loved by Daphne was herself. Because she didn't love herself. And this is why she ended up trying to get into relationship after relationship, sleeping with this guy sometimes and not sleeping with that guy, stopping alcohol and then starting to drink again, because she didn't have a sense of self and she didn't love herself. So she was trying to get into all these situations to look for love in the wrong places when love was within. Her problem, this lady, was that she was not sitting with the discomfort of her breakup, which is what many people don't do when they break up. To sit with the discomfort and feel it and parent yourself without doing things, without wanting to invest in this, that, or the other. Yes, you can in other areas, but you got to invest in yourself and to parent yourself each and every day, because you are grieving, you are suffering a loss. You need to sit with yourself and be the parent that you love in these moments. Every day you wake up, good morning, inner child. I know you are hurting, but I love you and I care for you. I'm here for you and I'll do what I can for you. Meditation, gratitude. Do a cathartic shake. Set your intention. I'm going to have a good day. You have a trigger. You sit down with your trigger. You do a sift SEM. What my trigger score? Sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. Lean into those emotions, those bodily sensations. Why am I feeling triggered? Find out the unmet need in the past and parent yourself and create solutions. I need to focus on myself and my self-care every day. I need to make sure I am looking after my inner child. I need to do a cathartic shake. I need to exercise. I need to eat healthy. I need to do all these things for me. I need to do a bedtime reflection and I need to journal. It is your job to do that because no one is going to do it for you. We might vent with friends. We might go to therapy, but we still need to continue life beyond therapy. We still need to continue life beyond venting with friends, because if we don't do that, no one is going to do it for us and we are going to struggle each and every day. Because these triggers will come and they will go, but if they are not resolved, they are going to come back again in another form. And we are thinking, if I work so hard, if I help other people, I'm going to heal. No, you are not. You are only going to heal if you sit down with your feelings and embrace them, have a cup of tea with them, feel them, name them. Hello, anxiety, I see you. What are you doing today? And shake it off and parent and feel looked after and loved by you. When you come from that place of being loved by you, You will prosper. Things will work out for you. There is no money in the world that matters more than sitting with yourself and loving yourself and making yourself feel heard, understood, and appreciated and acknowledged. That is why we struggle, because we don't appreciate and acknowledge ourselves and how we feel. We don't accept what's going on inside. We want to dismiss and distract. So Jack was glad that Daphne was reflecting, because she started to reflect with her pregnancy. We notice that patterns are passed on in this movie, because we see the mom who had been with a few men in her life, also gone from man to man. She is now getting married to another man. Daphne had a sister. They had different, she mentioned that they had different fathers. It happens, but it is in this situation where we know it's trauma. We are learning that now, that we have done it, it is happening, but it's trauma. And when Daphne was lashing out at her mother at the wedding, the mother told her that she had been trying, as she moved from man to man, to create something stable for her daughters. And the thing about it is, you can hear the confusion in that. She thought she was doing the best for her children by trying to find a man, and then moving from this man and that man. But actually, it was not helping, because this is the pattern that her daughters ended up copying. This is what Daphne was doing, getting from this man here and that man here, because she had learned that from how she was brought up. Daphne then meets Frank. She's 5.5 months pregnant. Frank doesn't know. She had tried to call him, but he was not responding. So Frank has got a girl now, Lila, and then they meet up later again to talk. And she tells Frank about the pregnancy. But again, she tells Frank that the child is hers. And Frank says she would teach her daughter the basics, depression, anxiety, and the truth. And we know what that was like for Daphne, because she was going through all these phases. And she also needed to be honest and truthful. And it was hoped that maybe she was going to teach her daughter to be honest and to create a stable environment for her daughter when she arrived. At the end of the film, we see Daphne sitting with her daughter, her sister Billy. They are both pregnant and they are talking. The last lines were around them sort of visualizing, their eyes closed. They visualized a closed door, which was supposed to open to sunshine, but the door was locked. But she said, you have the keys. And then when you open the door, unlock the door, you go through and you enjoy the sunshine. We all have the keys to new beginnings, but we do have to find these keys by doing inner work. We don't just pick these keys up because we are doing something for someone only. No, we also have to include ourselves in our self-love. As we do things for others in the greater good, we need to start with the first level of loving ourselves, and then our immediate circle, and foster closeness and connection, loving each other with the 5 love languages. And then we proceed to the greater good and do the best we can for others who are in need, to support others, but only when we feel supported by us. Because if we jump to the 3rd level, we react. We react because we are aggressive and we want to grab and make things happen, because we haven't dealt with our inner stuff. We are still bubbling inside with chaos. And it's not possible to really do something effective and fulfilling if you are bubbling inside. You might be successful on the outside. You might do a lot of things that look amazing, but you are betraying yourself because you are not settled within. It is better that you don't do anything amazing out there whilst you have your own peace of mind, because no one else is going to give it to you. I hope that was helpful. And I hope we continue to heal our breakups and pay attention to the self-relationship, which sets the tone and the standard for other relationships, so that we can have a quality life. Because if we don't have that stable self-relationship, it's difficult for us to have stable relationships with others, because we will end up looking for love in the wrong places, because we just need to fill ourselves. We want anything to fill that void, and that doesn't work. Quality life before relationships. Thank you so much for watching. Otilia and Nina and everyone else. Bye-bye.